Good evening, everyone. Please, I want you to put it in the comments if you can hear me. If you can hear me, please put it in the comments. If you can hear me loud and clear, please put it in the comments. I'm sorry. The setup of the YouTube was on private, so that made it not to be visible to people. So let me know if you can hear me. I want to see it in the comment, please. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Please do let me know if you can hear me. Okay, perfect. I just want to be sure I'm not talking to myself. So it's good to be here after 14 days of intensive training. And tonight I'm going to round off the course, and we're going to also share a few things that you might be interested in at the end of the whole training. So I usually like ending the course with this training because it is usually very, very important. What is the essence of undergoing a course that will help you reduce stress when you don't know what to do during emergencies? And this topic is quite important because during the last session, we had this same course, and one particular lady, she was actually one of our best students. She said she was in a hair salon plaiting her hair, and all of a sudden, the stylist just collapsed. Everybody was running a task. Guess what people were doing? They were getting water and trying to pour water on her. But she was calm. She told them to relax, that she knows what to do. And of course, she applied some of the things that we taught her. And the lady just jetted back to life. What if she didn't know what to do? It would have been a total waste of life. So what I'm going to learn today is going to be very useful. It's a very useful skill. It has saved a lot of lives. And I'll be sharing it. I'm happy with the reviews I've been getting, in the sense that it is actually meeting the purpose of the course. The purpose of the course is to equip you with skills to manage stress, so that when everybody's apprehensive, everybody is running a task, you know what to do. You are not confused about what to do. And that is basically what we have achieved. I was actually watching a video a few days ago, and in that video, it was actually an accident scene, and I think a bus collided with a petrol tanker. A bus collided with a petrol tanker, and it was very bad. We had dead bodies on the floor. We had injured people on the floor. Then, because of the collapse, because of the crash, the petrol tanker actually burst open. Guess what happened? People who arrived at the scene, instead of helping those that were injured, were busy collecting fuel and totally abandoned people that were injured. Do you know that if you live in a stressful country such as Nigeria, it gets to a point where your humanity is lost? That human feeling, what makes you a human, is totally lost. I can't imagine that there are injured people waiting to be rescued, and they were totally abandoned. People actually went to scoop fuel. So for them, the fuel that they were scooping, the petrol that they were scooping, was far more important than the life of the people that were lying there. That is what stress can do to a country. So it is very difficult for you to live a normal life when you are living in Nigeria. I'm saying this because I have lived in Nigeria and I'm living outside Nigeria. I know the difference. I know the difference. Where I am staying, if a dog should die, the whole street will know that a dog died. If a dog goes missing, they will alert the police. So the value for dog is far more bigger than the value for human lives in Nigeria. It is a total, it's actually a pathetic situation, but what can we do about it? So today we're going to be looking at something which is very, very important, and that is what to do during an emergency. Of course, we know that emergency services in Nigeria is almost zero. I was at a business meeting of top business owners. When I mean top business owners in Nigeria, in the UK, I mean people who are top CEOs of different companies. And one of them was talking about his experience in Africa. He traveled to Africa to do hiking and spend time. And he mentioned something that actually pained me. He said, when you are traveling to a place like Africa, just have it at the back of your mind that emergency service is zero. So if anything should happen to you, you are totally on your own. And of course, that was the same time that Anthony Joshua had an accident. So this guy actually was speaking and he knew what he was saying. It was painful because I was the only African in the room, but of course I couldn't say anything. I had to accept it because there are some things that you cannot defend. Do we have emergency services? Yes, we do, but it's non-functional. The day you will need ambulance, you discover that there's no ambulance. So this topic is very, very important, and I want as many of us as possible to wait till the end. Just follow the topic, follow the discussion that we'll be having till the end. So today we'll be looking at a few things. We'll be looking at what are emergencies, because it's good we define the emergency. Some of the things we think are emergencies are not really emergency. They are not really that important. So what are emergencies? What are the types of medical emergency? Of course, that's what we're looking at. We're not just looking at ordinary emergency. We're looking at medical emergency, something that can take your life. That's what we're looking at. So how do you respond to somebody who has an epileptic seizure? Somebody has epilepsy. How do we respond to such people? What do you do if somebody around you collapses suddenly? What do you do? Can you perform CPR? Do you even know what CPR is? So I'm going to be learning some of these things. The key principles, then I would round up with an information, and farewell will be farewell to the course. And that is it for the Basic Stress Management Certificate course 3.0. Let's dive in immediately. So what is an emergency? An emergency is a sudden situation that poses immediate risk to a person's life. So you are in a situation where somebody is at risk of dying. That is an emergency. An emergency is not when you lost your purse or you lost money and the whole house is turned upside down because you lost money. That's not an emergency. In an emergency, the life of somebody must be at risk. So some examples are things like sudden collapse. Maybe somebody just collapses around you. Seizures. Some people have seizures, maybe like epileptic seizure or other types of seizure. Then severe bleeding. Maybe somebody cut himself or herself and is bleeding severely. Or heart attack. Difficult breathing. Road accident, like the case I mentioned earlier. Or somebody is just unconscious. You just walk into a room and you find a colleague unconscious. These are emergency. So what do you do during an emergency? Well, before we go to what you do, let's look at some types of emergency. There are different types of emergency, and I'm going to be mentioning some of them, not all of them, but some of them. So the first one, if somebody collapses suddenly, what could be the cause? It could be as a result of heart attack. It could be stroke. It could be severe dehydration. I've noticed that a lot of people don't drink water. They only drink water when they want to eat. So when the brain is not receiving as much supply of oxygen because the water content of the blood has reduced drastically, the person can faint. Or the blood sugar level is very low, the person can faint. Or the person has cardiac arrest. Of course, you know that there's a difference between heart attack and cardiac arrest. So heart attack is like the heart stops functioning. Then cardiac arrest is when there's no supply of blood to the heart. Then the heart, of course, will not function as it should. Then the person will go into a cardiac arrest. Seizure is also an emergency. I've seen many cases where somebody has epileptic seizure and they are pouring water on the person, they are hitting the person, they are putting spoon on the person's mouth, because of course the person is clenching the teeth. So they are trying to use spoon to separate the teeth. I've seen a lot of things as it concerns epileptic seizure. In fact, when somebody has an epileptic seizure, the person is treated as an outcast. A lot of people think it's infectious. So they say, this person, look at the way he collapsed and saliva was coming out from his mouth. Please, just go shift. I don't want to speak to you. Or they start avoiding that kind of person because they feel it's infectious, but it's not. It's just because the brain activity is not normal. There's electrical default in the brain. The brain has two parts. There's the electrical part and there's the biological part. So if the electrical part of the brain has problems, the brain will start misbehaving and sending multiple sensation to the body. That is why the muscle starts vibrating and the person goes into seizure. In the UK, there are cases where people have multiple seizures in a day. There are some people that are literally useless because they have multiple seizures in a day. But in Nigeria, I don't think it is well identified. If somebody has multiple seizures, they most likely will attribute it to spiritual attack, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to show you what happens when somebody collapses suddenly and shaking uncontrollably, or the muscles become stiff, the person starts stretching, or the person doesn't know where he is. You are calling his name, he's not responding, or the person is foaming from the mouth, or there's confusion. The person is behaving abnormally after an episode. So I'm going to explain to you what you do. Then severe bleeding. Of course, when somebody has lost large amount of blood, it's possible that the person will become unconscious. And you also notice that the person's skin becomes pale. The eyes become a little white. It's not as red as it should be because there's no blood supply to the eye. And the person becomes generally weak. So what do you do when there is severe bleeding? I'll just tackle this once straight up ahead. So if somebody actually has bleeding, the first thing you need to find out is what caused it. Is it that the person had a knife cut, or is there maybe like a nail pierced through the body? When you identify what caused it, maybe let's say somebody had a nail piercing through his hand, and you can actually see the nail going through the palm. The first thing you need to do is not to pull out the nail, because in pulling out the nail, you can destroy a lot of veins and some nerves, and the person can become paralyzed in that hand. So what do? Get a plaster and try to stop the bleeding. Of course, let it be clean plaster. If you cannot get a clean plaster, use a cloth. It's better the person is infected than the person dies. So use your cloth, just pull off your cloth and tie the person's hand, then tie it around the injury and immediately take the person to the hospital. So the main thing is to stop the bleeding. Once you stop the bleeding, then you have saved the person. You can take the person to the hospital. Also, there are breathing emergencies, like somebody is choking. Let's say somebody's eating yam, and of course, the yam now enters the windpipe. Of course, the person will choke because the person cannot breathe. After choking, the person can become unconscious. So what do you do in that case? Or when you come to a place and you see somebody choking, what do you do? I will just answer this straight up again. When you come to a place and you see somebody choking, encourage the person to cough. So tell the person, try to cough. Because if the person should cough, of course, most likely is going to cough out what is making him or her choke. So if the person cannot cough, maybe the neck, the person is holding onto the neck and the person cannot even say anything, he's just making sounds but cannot actually speak. What you do is you bend the person over and give the person a slap at the shoulder blade. So slap the person 5 times. Just make sure you slap up, not slapping the person down. I'm talking about hitting the person's back now. So you hit the person's back and hit it up that way. So that way, the person will most likely pop or take out what is causing the choking. That is very effective. But if the person still is choking and you are finding it difficult to get the thing out, what do you do is a maneuver where you hold the person's upper rib, just a little above the stomach, and pull the person to yourself. So you hold the person above the stomach, close to the chest, then pull the person to yourself. So when you do that repeatedly, like 3-4 times, of course, the particle or whatever it is would come out. So, and immediately, if it comes out, don't just allow the person to just stay at home. The person needs to go to the hospital just to have a check to be sure that everything is okay. Because sometimes if the person doesn't receive enough oxygen to the brain could be damaged, despite the fact that it's looking all right. So you need to go check the person out. The person needs to go to the hospital to be sure that everything is fine. This is very important. It could also be asthmatic attack. Somebody can become unconscious because of asthma. So try to get the person to the hospital as quickly as possible after doing CPR. Then it could be an allergic reaction. There are some people that react to so many things. Some people react to gluten in wheat. Some react to pineapple. Some react to nuts, to milk, a whole lot of things. Over 14 things that people can react to. If you see an allergic reaction and the person is becoming unconscious, it's an emergency and you need to take care of it. It could also be cardiac arrest when the person's heart suddenly stops. As I explained earlier, the person's heart just stops working. That's cardiac arrest. So if the heart stops working, of course, the person will collapse and become unconscious. And of course, probably the breathing will stop. Because, of course, when you're conscious, you cannot control your breathing. That is an emergency. So how do you respond to epileptic seizure? Let me start by saying that the first step is that you need to be calm. You cannot help somebody who is having a medical emergency when you are apprehensive or you are anxious. You need to calm down. That is the first thing. How do you calm yourself down? You can do breathing exercise. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out. So breathe in, hold it, breathe out, just to calm yourself. Because when you are calm, your brain functions at an optimal level, unlike when you are apprehensive. So be calm. In whatever situation you find yourself, make sure you are calm. Sometimes I am calm to the point that people around me get worried. To say this is a dangerous situation. Why are you calm? Why you should be hurrying up? You should be anxious. You should be shouting. I said no. The person that is shouting and the person that is calm don't get the same results. The person who is calm gets a far better result and is able to reason in a better way. Have you not noticed that when people are in dangerous situation and one person is calm and thinking and the other person is anxious and shouting or crying, the person that is calm usually says, please keep quiet, let me think. Because it is when you are calm that you can think. You cannot reason very well when you are not calm, when you are anxious. That is why I said during the course that if you must actually make a decision, please don't do it when you are under stress or you are emotionally unstable. Please don't do that. Just wait until you are calm before you make any decision. The second step is to protect the person from injury. So let's say the person is going into seizure and it just starts where you are. The first thing you need to do is to remove dangerous objects around the person. Or if the person is already on the ground, make sure that the person is not putting his head on the bare floor, maybe like the cement or sand. Use a cloth or something just to make the person comfortable. So put a pillow or a cloth or something just to make the person comfortable and the head well positioned. That is the second thing you need to do. So because if you don't protect the person will get injured. And there are a lot of people that are falling into fire, falling into electric, and into different things, boiling water, just because they went into seizure and the people around didn't know what to do. So you need to protect the person from harm. Then you need to turn the person to the side. If somebody is having a seizure, and of course the person is lying with his back on the ground, you need to turn the person to the side and use something to wedge the person so that the person will be comfortable on the side. So if the person is on the side, it will prevent choking. Because if the person was eating or chewing gum or there's something in the mouth or even saliva, and the person is lying down on the and with the back on the ground, it's possible that whatever the person has in the mouth is going to go down through the windpipe and it will cause choking. And of course, if somebody is already unconscious and is choking, it's automatic death. There was a young guy on TikTok who does TikTok, and this guy has epilepsy, So he was on TikTok live. I don't know, many of you would have heard the story. He was on TikTok live and entered into an epileptic seizure, and people started pouring water on him. The wife came, poured water on him. So the water they poured on him, of course, entered into the mouth and choked him, and he died. It was a very, very bad case. So it is possible that you could be you could actually choke from saliva or whatever you have in your mouth if you don't actually turn the person to the side. That is very, very important. So if the person has tight clothes around the neck, maybe tie or something, maybe the person is in the office and is all suited up with suit and everything. So remove those things, loosen the cloth so the person can have enough air around the body. If possible, remove the clothes, except if it's a lady and you're a guy, then don't do that. But if it's a guy and the place is safe, remove the clothes. Or if it's a lady among ladies, please remove the clothes and make sure the person has enough air around. Then time the person. Don't do anything. It is very important that you don't act when there is an epileptic seizure. Don't do anything. Most seizures don't last more than 5 minutes. I was watching a video some weeks ago, and this guy was having a seizure in the car. His friend was slapping him. Heavy slap. Was just slapping the face. Wake up, wake up. I felt bad. That is what happens when you are not trained. So, because in 5 minutes, the epileptic episode is gone. In 5 minutes. But if it lasts beyond 5 minutes, or it's more than 5 minutes, and the person has still not come back to himself, then that is when you activate emergency services, or you go into CPR or some other procedures just to get the person back. But allow the person for 5 minutes. So if somebody goes into epileptic seizure where you are, just start timing and check for 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, exactly 5 minutes, sometimes before 5 minutes, the person comes back to himself. So once the person comes back to himself, help the person relax, make sure he's seated so that he will be calm and the blood can circulate very well before you allow him to walk off if it's a stranger or somebody you just met on the road. But it's very important to allow the person to go through the episode. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes and the person will be back. So please, if you see somebody experiencing seizure, don't do any of this. Don't put anything in the person's mouth. Or if you see people trying to put something in the person's mouth, please don't do that. Some people put soap in the person's anus. I've seen it before. They force soap into the person's anus and all manner of things. Please don't do that. Don't try to stop the body movement. Maybe the person is vibrating, and because the person is vibrating, you are holding the person and forcing the person not to shake. Please don't do that. Allow the person to move. Make sure the person is safe and allow the person to display. And don't force the person to drink water. Like what I told you about the TikTok guy, that they just poured water on his face and water entered through his throat, and that's how he died. He choked to death. So don't give the person water to drink. Don't give the person palm kernel oil to drink. Don't put anything in the person's mouth, no matter what it is. Don't slap the person. So I see people hitting people, maybe because of fear. Though you know, fear can cause you to do all manner of things. Maybe because of fear, maybe they think the person wants to die. So they are hitting the person to come back to life. That's a very bad thing to do. You are inflicting pain and you're making matters worse for the person. So the best thing you can do is to allow things to run. After about 5 minutes and the person still doesn't respond, then you can call for help and possibly start CPR. But allow 5 minutes. That is very important. So what do you do if somebody suddenly collapses? What do you do? After this, I'm going to teach you CPR. If you walk into a place and people are shouting, running, what happened? What happened? Somebody just collapsed. There are 3 major things you can do. The first thing is to check if the person is responsive. How do you check whether the person is responsive? Ask the person if it's okay. Emeka, are you okay? If the person nods or says yes, then the person is responsive. But if the person is not responding to his name, you call Emeka, Emeka is not responding. You call Roslyn, Roslyn is not responding. That means Roslyn is unresponsive. So that is the first thing. Because if somebody is responding, then there's no need to do CPR. You just take the person to the hospital. The reason why you're activating CPR is because the person is not responding to whatever you are doing or you are going to do. So make sure you get a response. It is when there's no response, then you start acting immediately. The second thing you can do is to call for help. Don't do things by yourself. Ask somebody to get maybe a bike or a taxi ready to get the person to the hospital. So before you start the CPR, it's important that there's an arrangement to take the person to the clinic. I would have said you should call Nigeria's emergency number. But of course, we know the number is not always available. That's 112. 112 is not always available. And of course, many people are in villages where network is not really strong. So it's difficult for you to actually call for emergency. But you can actually shout and get people to get something ready to move the person to the clinic. The third thing you need to do is to check for chest movements. Check if the person is breathing. How do you check if the person is breathing? You can actually put your ear close to the person's nose, or put your arm or the back of your arm close to the person's nose. If you feel air movement, that means the person is breathing. If you don't want to do that, you can actually look at the person's chest. If the chest is rising and falling, then the person is breathing. Because you can't do CPR on somebody who is breathing. The reason why you are doing CPR is because the person is not breathing, and as the person is not breathing, the blood is not being pumped to the heart and the brain. And if after about 4 to 6 minutes, blood is not reaching the heart or the brain, they start dying. So you can see that anytime somebody collapses, it's an emergency. It's something that you should do quickly. If you don't act immediately, the person is going to either be paralyzed for life or even die. So you must act immediately. I've seen videos where somebody was talking in a church and the man just collapsed. And everybody was shouting. They shouted. What did they do? They carried him. There was nobody that had the sense to say, wait, let's do CPR first, to be sure that he's okay before we take him to the hospital. They just carried him to the hospital. And by the time, before they could get to the hospital, he was gone. So it is important that you start CPR immediately. What is the meaning of CPR? So CPR is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Cardio is heart, pulmonary is circulation, and resuscitation, getting the person back to life. CPR basically helps the blood to flow to major organs. Because if the blood doesn't flow to major organs, the blood will not carry oxygen to those organs. Your brain needs a constant supply of oxygen. Same with your heart, a constant supply of oxygen. Anytime they are starved of oxygen, they begin to die. And it doesn't take more than 4 to 6 minutes for the brain to start becoming damaged. And the funny thing is this: once the brain is damaged, there is nothing you can do. The person becomes brain dead. And any part of the brain it affects, the person cannot use that part of the body anymore, because every part of the brain controls different parts of the body. So let's say it affects the part of the brain that controls speech. The person will become dumb and will not be able to speak. So that is how it is. It is very important for you to do CPR before medical help arrives. Don't say hospital is closed. I have seen a doctor, I've heard a case about a doctor that died right in the hospital. Wanted to go and perform surgery and collapsed. Before they could do all manner of things, bring AED to shock him, he was gone. But what if he merely collapsed, they rushed him and started doing CPR? Maybe he would have survived. So it doesn't mean that because you are in the hospital, you get things right or you survive when you collapse. No, it's not a guarantee that you collapse in the hospital then you survive. No, because some medical professionals don't even know what to do during an emergency. That is why it is very important for every medical worker to do at least first aid training and get certified. I'm actually a level 3 first aider in the UK, a level 3 first aider in the UK. That means I can actually administer first aid to anybody around me. And it is very important you understand that you don't need to be a first aider to do CPR. Life first. Seek to save the person's life first before we talk about CPR or no CPR. So now let's go to how to do CPR. I will look for a way to send this slide to everybody so that it will be easy for us to follow. You can always go to the slide and remember what some of the things we have said and even possibly apply them in your real day-to-day life. So how do you perform a CPR? It is very simple. When somebody collapses as a result of whatever reason, the first thing is to lie them on their back. When you lie them on their back, then you tilt their cheek. You tilt it up like this. The reason why you are tilting their cheek is so that air can flow through the nostrils into them, into the person, into the lungs and all that. Because if the person is lying down with the head straight, it is possible that air will not be able to flow through. So you raise the chin and make sure that air is able to flow through into the person's lung. You place your hand, the heel of your hand, this is the heel of your hand, on the person's chest. Then you interlock your hand. Let me show you, maybe you can see my hand. You interlock it. So the heel of the second hand is well positioned on the heel of the first hand. You place both hands on the person's chest, the center of the person's chest. So the center of the chest now, if you can see my chest, the center, you position your hand like that, and you start pushing hard and fast. So you start pushing hard and fast. It is better you are doing it, but you're not doing it 100%, than for you not to even know how to do it at all. So if you go on YouTube, you see a lot of videos explaining how to do CPR. You put your hand, then you push hard and fast. You are supposed to give 120 compressions per minute. That's to tell you how fast it should be. So you push hard and fast, 120. You can be counting it, 1, 2, 3, 4, until you get to 120. Then you start again, just continue doing CPR. You can decide to give rescue breath. Maybe if it's somebody close to you, or somebody, God forbid though, but somebody close to you, you can give rescue breath. You leave the person's chin and blow into the person's mouth or the person's nostril. So to pump air in. And then you continue with the chest compression. So you do chest compression until the person starts breathing. Then you stop. If the person is not breathing, don't stop. I have seen people who did chest compression for almost 30 minutes. They were not going to let the person die. They just kept doing the chest compression. It is exhausting, but they just kept doing it. And finally, after 30 minutes, the person came back to life. So you don't understand what God has done for you if anything happens to you and the people around you know what to do. This thing I'm teaching you now, I've taught it to my son. I taught him when he was 9 years old. My son can actually do a CPR on somebody who has lost consciousness. Why am I teaching my son? Because nobody knows what happens tomorrow. There's nobody that knows what will happen to them, no matter how healthy you are. And the body can misbehave because the body is just flesh. And if the body misbehaves in the house and you have just your children, will they be able to help to keep you alive? Do they know how to call for help? Do they know how to call, who to call during an emergency? Do they know what to do? I have seen some videos where parents pretended to collapse and the children were still playing. Some were climbing them. Maybe father collapsed here, mother collapsed here. And the children were climbing them and just playing around and just calling, mommy, mommy. They didn't know what to do. So this thing I'm teaching you, make sure you teach your wife or your husband, and make sure you teach your children, especially if they are from 9 years, 10 years and above. Teach them what to do in case of an emergency. Or they walk into the house and God forbid they find you on the floor. What should they do? It is very important because a lot of people have lost their lives because people who came, we usually call these people first responders. People who responded immediately by coming to the scene didn't know what to do. And that's why they died. So just continue CPR until the person comes back, then you stop. So key things that you need to know or apply during emergencies. These are very, very important, and pay attention to them. The first thing is that you need to be calm. You need to be calm. You can't do CPR effectively if you are not calm. You cannot. You cannot help somebody who is dying effectively if you are not calm. So the first thing you need to do is try to stay calm. Do your breathing exercise and make sure you are calm enough for the person before you can start helping. The second thing you can do is to ensure the environment is safe. Make sure the person is not close to the fire. And also make sure that the environment is safe for yourself, not just the person. I have seen cases where somebody was on the floor and this person just came in, saw the person on the floor and rushed in just to go and help. And the person was electrocuted. So you don't know what happened to the person. If the person is touching a wire and it has been electrocuted, you just rush in, and because you are panicking, you touch the person and it also affects you. So that is why you need to be calm. You need to watch out for your environment. If somebody is on the floor, ask yourself, why did this person collapse? Is there any possible reason? Check out for things like sharp objects. Check out for edges of table. Maybe the person hit his head on the table edge, and also check out for things like maybe electricity or a naked wire. So make sure that the environment is safe for the person and for you too, because you can't sacrifice your life because you want to save somebody. They say safety first. So you must make sure that you are safe first before you go save the other person. Call for help immediately. Once you see anybody on the floor, no matter the cause, please shout for help. Call your neighbors. Ring somebody to say, please, can you come to the house? There's an emergency. Don't do everything by yourself. Don't try to be a superhero by acting as if you know everything. Call for help. The more people around you, the better the chances of the person surviving. Then do not gather crowd or even crowd the victim. You know, somebody collapses and everybody wants to help. That is very dangerous because the person is not getting enough oxygen around. So even if you are trying to do CPR, it will still not work because there's no oxygen. The place is crowded. So what do you do in case of an emergency? Just like what Jesus did, he sent everybody outside because you are the expert, you are the one that knows what to do. Send everybody away or ask them to go look for help while you help the person who is on the floor by doing CPR. This is very, very important. Then, the final key principle that you're supposed to know is that you need to act quickly. Just have it at the back of your mind that if I don't do anything, this person is going to die. And truly, the person is going to die if you don't do anything. So once the person is on the floor, act quickly, as if your action depends, the person's life depends on your action. Don't just be lazing around or trying to take things easy. Act quickly. Be calm, but act quickly. This is very, very important. So I've got a few books. Two of them are in Nigeria that I feel people might want to get them to know exactly what all my talk is all about. And some of the topics are very interesting. Some of the things that we share are very interesting, things that can benefit you. And one of them is Death in the Pot. Death in the Pot is a story about a lady who lost the husband because the husband was basically eating bad food. She was feeding the husband with bad food, and the husband didn't even know how to make food choices. And of course, it led to stress. It led to so many other things. So Death in the Pot is basically how to use food to reduce your stress level. It is very, very interesting. I have sold a couple of thousands of copies, both in Nigeria and here in the UK. In fact, some of the training sessions I have in the UK, people scramble to get some of these my books, and I don't come back with any. So if I go for any training, it's all gone before I come back because people want to get as much knowledge as possible. So Death in the Pot is available for 5,000. Stress and Holistic Medicine is a compilation of all the training I've done for over 5 years. So we used to have a thriving Telegram group. Most of us here must have been in that group. A thriving Telegram group where I was giving weekly training. Sometimes two to three times in a month, I give training. So I compiled everything that I've talked about in this book, but fortunately, it's a soft copy. If you want it, get across to Modesta, and we can send it across to you. It contains a lot of natural remedies. I can't even mention all of them. There are about 100 natural remedies in this book. Then the last one is 40 years but trapped in a 70-year-old body. This is basically a book that can help you recover from whatever disease you are going through, because it's basically stress management strategies that can help your body heal itself. And it is very, very effective. I shared a story in this book about how one of my clients used some of our natural remedies to reverse stage 4 cancer. And today she's cancer-free. Because if you supply the body with everything it needs, it will start healing itself. So this book is very, very important. You can also place an order. Hard copies are available in Abuja. So if you want the hard copy, you can easily get it. Then I want us to go into Q&A. Then I will share an information. I will call it a day. Q&A basically will go this way. Just drop your question in the comments. I would put it up in the screen and I will respond to it. But of course, after you have received your certificate, you'll be added to the Basic Stress Management Certificate course alumni. We've got an alumni body, and it's a WhatsApp group. It's a WhatsApp community. So you'll be added to that community. And once in a while, they are exposed to some of the international talks that I do. Sometimes I do some trainings abroad, and I'm giving access to maybe invite a few people to listen to me or some other speakers talk. So I give them link to join such trainings, and it's been very, very beneficial for many of them. So we'll add you to the alumni group where we have some activities. We can discuss one or two things in the alumni group, and so far it will help you internalize some of the things you've learned during the course. So I will take some questions. Just drop it in the comments, and of course I will see the questions and respond to it. While you are dropping the question, there is something that has been in my mind for a very long time. I've wanted to do this thing when I was in Nigeria, but I had a restraint in my spirit not to start it yet. But recently, I got a release to implement it. And that is something that I call the Executive Stress to Profit Community. The Executive Stress to Profit community is a community of business owners and entrepreneurs, or people who are just interested in um, increasing their financial capacity. So some of the things that I'm teaching in the UK, I've put everything together. It's quite unfair for me to be teaching some things in the UK and people are using it, business owners are using it and making money from it, while people in Nigeria are not benefiting from it. So I decided to put this together to compile some of the things I have taught. For instance, a lot of organizations don't have any stress management policy. A lot of business owners don't have any stress management policy. And do you know that it is very compulsory, according to health and safety, that every business owner should have a stress management policy, a document that they can actually use to manage the stress coming from their organization. I did a research during my MSc, and part of the discoveries I had was that when there's an organizational intervention for stress management or for stress, people usually get more results than if individuals are managing stress on their own. So if, let's say I'm a stress manager now, and I'm working in an environment that is very toxic and very stressful, I will be stressed out, despite the fact that I know how to manage it. As compared to if my organization decide to implement some stress management strategies, then the result will totally be different. So basically, what this community will help you do is to increase profit, to boost your sales by applying some basic stress management principles. I have applied it in the UK, and a lot of organizations who have joined in my community and my clients are benefiting massively from it. Just recently, my county council sent me a list of 2,000 businesses in my council for me to reach out to them. So if what I was doing or what I'm doing is not effective, I don't think they will give me their contacts. So because they are seeing the result of what I'm doing, that's why they were able to give me that contact to be able to reach out to them. So this particular community is starting in July. It's not starting now. It's starting in July. But between now and Sunday, that's next Sunday, you need to make some commitment. And it's just a little commitment just to show that you are interested. I'm sorry to say this, but it's not going to be in Naira. It's going to be in dollars. I chose dollars because it's more general. So whether you are in Nigeria, US, or Canada, or UK, you can actually pay for it. So I'm going to send an email. So watch out for an email from me tomorrow, before the end of the day tomorrow. I'm going to send out an email giving you a detailed explanation of what this program is going to be. If it's something you would like and you want to participate in, then let us know, let Modesta know, or chat me up, and then we can start sending you some information. I'm going to get some of my colleagues in the UK to teach you about how to use skills that can profit your business, like what kind of investment to make, how to use AI to your advantage to reduce your stress level. Everything will be tied around stress, but it's majorly going to be around financial stress, how to make you make more money, the kind of investments that you can do, so that at the end of 1 year, because it's a 1 year subscription, at the end of 1 year, we would have had milestones and results, because it's going to have accountability sessions. So every month we choose a date when people share what they have achieved. It puts you on your toes. if you're a business owner, this is it's going to be very good for you because it makes you accountable to a group of people. I don't want crowd. If I can get 10 to 15 people, I'm okay. I don't want crowd. So I want people who are willing to work. There are some people that joined the course and they didn't participate in over a period of 14 days. They didn't drop any comments. They didn't make any posts. I've gone through the back end of Seller. They've not even watched the videos. So why would you pay 25,000 for a course and you don't participate? And of course, I can't force anybody. So I need people who are dedicated in the community. I'm going to share details. You go through the details, and I'm going to also schedule another meeting where we'll talk about it. Then we'll take it off from there. Of course, we're going to be having retreats in different parts of the world. So I want the community to grow to a point where we can decide that, okay, let's travel to Spain or let's travel to US, London to hold a stress management retreat. That is my focus. That is my vision. And within the next 5 years, I want to achieve that. But we are starting from somewhere now, knowing that we're going to get there. So let me take some questions. I think there are some questions here now. I'll put it up on the screen so we can see it. Is there a link between stress management and someone's zodiac sign? Well, zodiac sign is something that I've refused to actually pay attention to. right from when I was small. So if I tell you I have any idea what zodiac sign is or what they're saying, I'll be lying. I have zero idea. That's because I don't see any relationship it has with me. I don't believe that your zodiac sign can determine who you are. I believe that you can determine who you want to be by yourself, not by a random sign from anywhere. So I don't talk about this. I don't have any idea what zodiac sign is, and actually I don't even pay attention to it. So I don't know what link it has. I don't actually know. So if you could Google it and find out if there's anyone, but zodiac signs are things that I don't go into. There are some things that I've made it a point of duty not to dabble into. Recently, I was in a business meeting. I think that was on Thursday. Last Thursday, I was in a business meeting, and I met a young man who is a medium. A medium is somebody that can talk to spirits, can talk to ghosts. So he can speak to, if somebody has died, that you can come to him and say, so person has died. Please, can you call the person? I want to ask the person questions. And he says he actually calls the person, and the person comes and discuss with him. Then he will tell you what the person is saying. Of course, it's demonic. So we discussed, and he was sharing a lot of testimony, I will not call it testimony, but a lot of results he has gotten. People he has told things and how those things have come to pass. I was just looking at him like this because I know that is a familiar spirit. So there are some things in my field I don't dabble into. There are some levels of yoga I don't dabble into. Anything that is mystic or has a spiritual connotation, I stay clear out of it. Because you might find yourself meddling in spiritual stuff that you are not prepared for or shouldn't concern you. That is the way I see it. And of course, I class zodiac sign as part of it. I may be wrong. I don't know. So another comment. Thank you, sir. Sir, thank you very much. Thank you very kindly for the depth and transformation this course has brought. My question are thoughts. Okay, the questions are many. Let's go. Number 1. Beyond the techniques we have learned, how can one consciously build a lifestyle where stress no longer controls decision making, especially in high pressure professions like law? You can't do it overnight. Even me, I didn't build those skills overnight. I actually started doing it gradually, and before I knew it, it became my lifestyle. For instance, before, I used to have stage fright. I can't stand up to speak to people, and I was supposed to be a trainer, but anytime I'm going on stage to speak, I'm usually very tensed. So I started doing breathing exercise. I started doing guided imagery just before going on stage. So right now, I don't even need to do breathing exercise. I just walk up on stage. Even if you are 1 billion, I walk up on stage and I say what I want to say and I get out. Yeah, it's not overnight. You don't build such skills overnight. You practice it gradually. But as I have taught you, it starts from awareness. Every one of us that have gone through this course are now aware that there is something called stress, and stress can actually affect the body. So that awareness alone will help you practicalize the things that you have learned. This is very important. I've worked in high pressure environments. Of course, if you work in the hospital, it's usually very high. The pressure is usually very high. So I worked in an hospital environment for about 5 years before I went fully into training. It's from one sickness to the other, from one tension to the other, either accident, they bring accident victims. So at every point in time, you are under pressure. If you are in that kind of environment, you must be eating well. When I mean eating well, your diet must be top notch. You must be on fruits and vegetables constantly. Because if you are working under a stressful environment, your body is depleting its nutrients. Because as you're burning energy, you are burning those nutrients and it is going down. So you need to supply it by having things like maybe lemon, cucumber, mint leaf water, which gives you a high level of antioxidants, I mean. So those antioxidants will help quench some of those free radicals that have been released by stress. So if you are working in a very stressful environment, make sure you have a bottle, a water bottle, and in that bottle, put mint leaf, put cucumber, squeeze a little of lemon or lime, anyone you have, and then drink it. But don't drink it for a very long time. Mix it with water, because lemon and lime also dissolves the calcium in your teeth. That's how if you put lime or lemon in water and you drink it, there's a way your teeth starts feeling. That's because it dissolves the calcium. So take it and mix it with water. Then you can do juicing. You can do all manner of smoothies. You can do smoothies. Just consume as many as possible. Just put it in a bottle, freeze it, or put it in the fridge. Then put it in your water bottle and consume it. What are you trying to do? You're trying to replace those nutrients that stress is burning. And when you replace those nutrients, your stress level drops. So if you are working in a high value, a high pressure system or workplace, make sure that you are always consuming something that is very healthy. It could be a supplement, it could be the lemon or lime water, smoothies, or juice, something natural. It will help you. Anytime you also have opportunity to take a break, please go on break. Don't work from morning till night without a break. You are entitled to go on break, no matter how busy the workplace is. Find time to go eat, find time to stretch, go around. You can just leave your office, go outside, walk around, then come back in and continue from where you stopped. But don't just sit down on the seat from morning till night. It's going to stress you out. Because when you change position, your stress level also drops. Because when you change position, the blood begins to flow well and circulate oxygen around the muscles and your stress level drops. Let me go to the next question. Okay, let me finish your question, then I'll go to the next one. Okay, I think that's it. So my question is, let me show it so that people can read it. This is from Hassan. My question is, will you still be getting access? Okay, will you still be getting access to the video on Seller after the program? Yes, you will get access to the video. We just started this, so I've not been doing this for some time. The last 2 batches, we didn't do this, but for this batch, I've decided that I'll give you access for at least a month after the course, so that at least you can go through it. You know, it's like a school. So you graduate out, then another batch comes in. So if we give you lifetime access, it defeats the purpose of the school. I'm going to make an announcement to the batch 1 and batch 2 who want to do a refresher. There is somebody that is among us. He has done the course before, but he felt that he still needed to do it again as a refresher. He has a certificate, he paid. Of course, we gave him a discount. He paid, and he's part of us. So if you want to do a refresher, you can join any batch to say, sir, I want to do a refresher. Can you give me a discount? Of course, we'll give you a massive discount. Then you participate. But for now, I can only give you about maybe like a month extra just to go through the videos again. Or you want to finish, maybe you have not finished. You can finish, but you're not going to get any certificate, because the certificate will be awarded after you finish the course and you do your assignment. We'll go through your assignment, we'll award the certificate. So that is it. Let me go to the next question. Okay. Isa is still asking, as a legal professional constantly dealing with clients' emotion, high stakes decision, how can I effectively absorb pressure without internalizing, without intentionally sizing stress? Okay, so what he's saying in essence is that how can he attend to people who are stressed out without him being stressed? Without being stressed, that's as simple as it is. Well, stress is contagious, and stress can pass from one person to the other. For instance, if I'm stressed out and I enter into a meeting or I go to see my client, by virtue of how I am acting, if the person I'm seeing is not careful, the person will become stressed out. So what you need to do first of all is to calm the situation. Calm the person down, reduce the emotion. If the person is crying, make sure you bring down the emotion. Make the person stop crying. If the person is anxious, assure the person that everything will be okay and get the person to calm down as quickly as possible. If for any reason you can't calm the person down for any reason, maybe because of how grievous the offense is, or the person knows he's going to jail, is going to jail and is already throwing tantrums, protect your mind. The easiest way that stress seeps into the body is through the mind. Before your body becomes stressed out, your mind would have received it. So it's after the mind has received it that the body starts acting. That is why I said during the training that the body is a slave of the mind. The body only responds to what is going on in the mind. So if somebody is showing emotion and there are some high-stake decisions you need to make, first of all, prevent the emotions from affecting you. It takes some practice though. Initially, it will affect you, but after some time of practice, you discover that the person's emotion doesn't affect you. It doesn't mean that you are heartless, no, but you have learned to put your emotions in check. You have learned to be logical, despite the fact that there are emotional tantrums and things going on around you. So make sure that stress or whatever the person is going through doesn't affect you. I do some counseling, I do some consultation, and the person I'm talking to is crying. If I cannot calm the person, I protect myself from the emotional energy the person is releasing. Of course, it's a negative energy, so you protect your mind against it. After some time, you can see somebody who is going through an emotional stuff, and you are not affected. You are talking to the person firmly and calmly. After some time, the person would start paying you attention, because you are supposed to be all emotional, but you are not. You are still your reasoning is intact. You are still logical, so the person start paying attention to you. But if the person is throwing tantrums or displaying emotional stuff, and maybe anger, irritability, or just crying, and you join the person to start crying, both of you need help. You are no longer in the position to help the person. So make sure you calm the emotion first of all. Then if you cannot calm it, make sure you protect yourself. When I go to a place where people are, maybe a place where there's all manner of emotional reactions, I protect myself. I don't get affected easily. That doesn't mean that I'm now callous or my heart is hardened. No, I still feel emotion. I still when I lost my dad, I still cried. So, but that doesn't mean that I allow emotions to have a control over me. I control stress. Stress does not control me. And this is very important. Okay, so Susan is asking a very important question. I think we answered this question during handling domestic stress and relationship stress. I'm sure we answered this question because I dealt with it in details. So, but let me just still attend to it here. How do you deal with someone? How do one deal with a home front that is toxic? If you are living in a toxic home, there are two things involved. First of all, is there physical abuse? If there's physical abuse, then leave that environment. Your life is not worth cutting off because you want to stay in a marriage. I have seen cases where there was domestic abuse or domestic violence. I had to force the person out of the marriage. I literally took the person out of the marriage. And today the person is better off. Of course, it led to divorce and all that, but today the person is better off. I've had cases like that where I had to take the person out of the marriage. So don't say, because of my children, let me just be enduring. What if you're not alive tomorrow? Who will take care of the children? That is number one. Then number two, there are some relationships that have emotional abuse. So this one is not physical. They are not beating you. But when this person says something to you, start crying. Some people have that kind of bad mouth that when they tell you word, you will go and cry. I used to be like that until God delivered me. I used to be like that, honestly. I'm very quiet, very quiet. In fact, I can stay in my house for 1 month and nobody will see me outside. Just keep food, keep all the necessary things I need. I don't need to go outside. I go outside sometimes because my wife actually takes me out, forces me to go outside, especially early in our marriage. It was really bad. So when there's a quarrel in the house, of course, my wife will be angry, saying some things and all that. I will say only one sentence, and that one sentence will cause problems. So I started noticing it, and I started dealing with it. When I'm angry or there's a quarrel in the house, I just try to keep my mouth shut. Except if I want to explain something, then I explain it in a calm way. This thing is very, very important because I see a lot of times marriages break because of simple words that were said. Somebody said something, and a whole marriage breaks. So what if the person kept quiet? The marriage would have been salvaged. What do you do if you are at the receiving end? Your husband is the one having this problem. You can provide solution to him by enrolling him on courses that can help him with anger management or emotional stability, emotional intelligence, behavioral therapy, things like that. You can suggest that you see a counselor, or you can suggest that you see somebody who can actually speak to you about it. But first of all, you need your partner or your spouse to know that this is a problem. Because some people exhibit toxicity without even knowing that it's something that they are doing. They are already used to it. You know, people come into marriage from different places. Some people grew up in very violent homes where the father just beats the mother mercilessly. So to this person, domestic violence is a normal thing. There are some people that grew up in houses where they say careless words to one another. You can just insult somebody and it's nothing. They don't take it as anything. Or they are too used to it. So people are coming from different homes where they have gone through childhood trauma. And some of them are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Now you are married to such a person, and this person is exhibiting this kind of trait. You need to let the person know that it is a problem. And if you are the one that is the toxic one, I'm sure that after going through this course, you have a change of mind. So get the person to understand that it's a problem. If the person is able to understand that it's a problem, solution is easy. You can just get them to speak to somebody or buy a book for them, buy a course for them, and tell them, please, let's listen to this course together. Join them in listening to it. A few of us posted that, I think somebody posted in the community that the wife, either the wife or the husband, joined in listening to what I was saying. Some people called their children to join in listening to what I was saying. Because if two of you are on the same level, conflict will be very minimal. If you're on the same level, conflict will be very minimal. But if you guys are not on the same level, of course, you keep fighting every time. So find a solution. Toxicity in the home is not a good thing. It's never a good thing. Make sure as a man, I'm speaking to all men listening to me, make sure as a man that there is peace in your home. Do everything possible to make sure that there's peace in your home. I initiate settlement when there's a quarrel in my home. I initiate settlement most of the time. I swallow my pride and apologize to say, okay, let's forget about it. I'm sorry. But if you are dealing on ego, you are feeling like a man, you don't want to bring peace to your home, it will affect your health. There are a lot of homes where the wife is still alive, but the husband is gone. There are a lot of homes where the wife is healthy, but the husband is very sick. Because when negative emotions accumulate in your system, it breaks down your body and it leads to hypertension, diabetes, and some of these diseases. So I don't want to have diabetes, I don't want to have hypertension. I manage the stress in my home. Every one of us, try as much as possible to make sure that there's peace in your home. If it is your response to your husband that is triggering the quarrel, if he's saying stuff, don't respond. Just be quiet. Because you want to achieve peace. Achieving peace in your home should be your greatest pursuit in life. There are a lot of people that are very successful outside, but in their homes, their homes are in disarray. Their homes are a war zone, but they are so successful at home. There's this couple that used to stay in our house when we were growing up. At home, they are cat and rats, always fighting. When I mean fighting, always fighting. But outside, they are the best couple. They are the best pretenders. So anytime, because their house was just at the back of our own house, where I grew up. Anytime they are quarreling and fighting, we'll be hearing it in our flats. But guess what? Immediately they leave their house, they will be all lovey-dovey, all caring with each other. You see the way they are playing, displaying public affection. You are like, oh, these are the best couple. Anytime they are teaching marriage related topics in church, guess the family, the couple they're going to call this couple because they were in our church. They call them to come and teach people about marriage. And me and my younger also just be laughing that you see not this one that just beat the wife yesterday. What does he have to teach? So some people are very good at pretending. Don't pretend outside and your house is a war zone. It's better that your house is at peace. Outside, people don't know whether you people are living well or not. It is better that way. Because when you come back to the house, you expect to come back to a peaceful place. A place where you can rest and take care of yourself. So, but if the home is not mentally conducive for you, your stress level will always be high. Then let me take this other question from Barrister Issa. Sir, in reality, that's in Nigeria, achieving work-life balance can be difficult. What practical daily system would you recommend for maintaining balance consistently? Okay, so there is work-life balance and there is work-life integration. If you cannot achieve work-life balance, then achieve work-life integration. What is work-life integration? Being able to bring your personal life into your work life and making sure that they don't clash. For instance, if you're at work and it's time for school runs and you take permission from the office to attend to school runs, what you are doing is work-life integration. Or if you are actually working in a very busy environment, and out of your busy environment, you create time to go talk to your wife or go attend an event with your wife. What you are doing is work-life integration. But what most people do is that they just focus on work and totally neglect their home. As much as you are paying attention to your work, make sure you have time for your home. Make sure you have time to attend the graduation of your children. Make sure you have time to attend to some milestone events. There are some milestone events like birthdays, like anniversaries. Please don't joke with those events. I'm so much impressed by a particular man of God in Nigeria, Reverend Dr. Paul Eneche. Despite the fact that he's a very busy man, he still has time to attend to his children's birthday. He still has time to attend to anniversaries. There was one of the videos that I watched. He actually took his grandson to school. Just told the daughter, don't worry, I'll drop him in school. Took the grandson to school. Despite the fact that he is very busy, he still had time to take his children to school, his grandchildren to school, attend to the wife, and still play with the family. Because if something happens to you, your office colleagues will not be there. Even if they are there, after some time, because they are not related to you by blood, they will be off. So you are left with your family. If you are not there for them, you become a stranger to them. It is very important that you sacrifice whatever to make sure that you prioritize your family. That is why I like the UK system. They don't joke with family. If somebody's work schedule was altered because the person had to do school runs, despite the fact that they have a normal work pattern, they had to alter it because this person has to take care of the child. In Nigeria, your boss will be angry that you took a child to school. There are very few organizations where they accept work-life balance or even make arrangement for work-life balance. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you create time for your family. This is very important. Is there any more question? Because apparently this is the last. Any more question? So before I call it a day, we need video reviews. Of course, we are going to be sharing with people some of the transformations that you got from this course. So we need video reviews. If you can do a 30 seconds video stating your name, how you were before, what you learned from the course, and the results you got, that is all. You can say that within 30 seconds, or you can say that within 1 minute. So please do a clean video. You can use your phone, but make sure that it's very bright, not in a very dark place. It's bright so that we can actually let people know the transformation that we are getting. It's not really compulsory, but if you can do it, it's to be very good for us. Of course, we have done a lot for you, so we also expect you to do this favor for us. I think a few more questions came in. I'm just going to answer them quickly. I will call it today because I don't want this video to be too long. What is the immediate remedy to a convulsing child? So this is a very, very good question because there are some children that always convulse. First of all, if it is not an epileptic seizure, it's most likely an increase in the person's temperature or the child's temperature, maybe like fever. So when some children have high fever, their body is so hot, the brain begins to shut down. Because if the brain doesn't shut down, the brain will fry. The heat of the body will affect the brain and the brain will fry practically or will heat up. So to protect the brain, the body shuts down, and that is convulsing. It happens in many children. I will give you some natural remedies that you can use, which are very effective. One of the natural remedy is palm kernel oil. I have palm kernel oil here. That's to tell you how serious we use it in my house. Original palm kernel oil. So get palm kernel oil, mix it with any balm. It could be rub, it could be abonike, and massage the person. Massage the baby, massage the spine. Massage the body very well. Palm kernel oil helps to calm the temperature down. Then I also made it a point of duty when my son was very young. I made it a point of duty to get suppository. Suppositories like ibuprofen suppository or any of the suppository that can calm the body temperature. At that time, I was using ibuprofen. So I had ibuprofen suppository. Suppository means that you push the medication through the anus. You don't give it through the mouth, you give it through the anus. So once the child starts convulsing out of fever, you just bring out the ibuprofen suppository. Of course, it's always inside the freezer or fridge, because if it's outside, it could melt. But once you put it inside the fridge, it becomes solid. So you bring it out, peel it off, and push it into the anus. Push it deep into the anus. And when you do this, automatically within 2 minutes, 3 minutes, the temperature begins to come down, because there's a very strong connection between the anus and the skin. So that immediately goes into the blood circulation and helps to calm the temperature down. This is a very, very important question, because you can see a child that is convulsing. The child is not epileptic, but the child is convulsing. So if the child is just convulsing, and you want to know whether it's epilepsy or fever, just touch the person's neck. If the person's body is very hot, then pull off the whole clothes the child is wearing. Pull off all the clothes the child is wearing. Get the child naked. Then use palm kernel oil, rub the child with abonike, and do tepisponging. So put a lukewarm water, get a lukewarm water, and use a towel to dab it and place it on the child's head. You are trying to regulate the temperature of the head, because if the temperature of the head comes down, the brain begins to function normally. The brain has shut down the body because the temperature around it is very hot. And that is natural protective mechanism, so that the person doesn't boil the brain. So that is the way it is. Take I've answered that. What is the deadline for submission of the second assessment? The deadline for the submission of the second assessment is on Wednesday. That's 3 days from now. Please submit, because on Sunday, at a week from now, we're going to mark all the scripts, send the scores along with your certificate. So we want to do everything this week before Sunday. Some people have submitted the assignment, both the first and the second. But if you know you have not done that, please, between now and Wednesday, submit, so that by Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, all certificates will go out. But if by Sunday you have not gone through the course, you have not submitted any assessment by Sunday, which is 5th, that is Easter Sunday, you have not submitted any assignment, you have not done anything, you are not going to get a certificate, because I cannot actually vouch for you to say you know what you are doing. So why should I give you a certificate when you didn't even participate in the course? Some people didn't drop any comment. So if you know you have not dropped any comment in the community, don't expect any certificate. I want to assume that you didn't do the course. And I know those that have been dropping comments. I've known those that have been dropping reviews of what they did. Even if it's a 1-line review, drop it, but at least drop something. I would rather you do a 1-line review than you don't even write anything. I don't even know whether you benefited or you didn't benefit. You're just a silent participant. You're not going to get a certificate. So we're already compiling the names of people who have dropped reviews and have done the assessment, and we're going to issue a certificate to them. Okay, so finally, thanks greatly, sir. Your teachings have shifted my perspective from merely managing stress to consciously mastering it. I'm grateful. I'm sincerely grateful. Regards. So that is the purpose of this course. We're not trying to change your situation, but we're trying to change how you respond to your situation. We're not trying to give you more money, but we're trying to make sure that despite the fact that you don't have money in your pocket, it doesn't affect your stress level. Despite the fact that the whole world is in chaos, it doesn't affect your stress level. You are still looking fresh. If I one of the ladies who dropped review and testimony in the last batch said her boss had to comment that she was looking younger. This is somebody that was always sick, always looking old, haggard, not stressing well. After going through this course, she changed totally. And she was the best student. She had the cash gift. Of course, you know that the best student in this batch, we're going to give you a cash gift. No matter how small it is, we're going to give you a cash gift. So she had the cash gift because she paid so much attention in the course. And she got the best result with a cash gift. And she said her boss said she was looking younger. So we're not going to change your situation, but we're going to change how you respond to situation around you. That is basically what we are hoping to achieve. So thank you very much for being there. I want to appreciate all the people that have been dropping comments, dropping reviews. I really appreciate people like my friend IK, Barrister Isa, my uncle Lucky Najuke is also in the class. Also, my wife is in the class. She's one of the silent participants, and I've told her that I won't give her certificate if she doesn't drop any review. Susan and everybody, Hassan. If I don't mention a name, it's not because you are not dropping any comments. Everybody that has been dropping comments, I really appreciate you all. And of course, your certificate will be coming, and your certificate is recognized by the UK government in the sense that we are registered with the ICO, and we also register with the learning providers of UK. So we can actually issue certificate that is recognized. It will all be in your certificate. So it's something that you should be proud of posting. Don't just get it and put it in your folder. Download it, go on Facebook, tag me, and post it, announcing that you are now a certified stress management expert. Because what you are hoping to achieve is, after going through this course, you can actually teach others how to manage stress. That is basically what we want to achieve. So after this course, and you can still teach people how to manage stress, then it has been in vain. That is basically what we want to achieve. So thank you very much. Every natural remedy, I'm seeing some people asking me about natural remedies. Every natural remedy that you are asking for, I think I mentioned them in the course. So go to the part of the course about natural remedy, you see it, or get my book on any of my books. I always add natural remedies to my books. The 40 years trapped in a 70-year-old body has lots of natural remedies. Death in the Pot has lots of natural remedies. I have written all there, but I'm going to just answer this one for the benefit of this person that I just said. That's Bridget. Just for the fact that you are here, I'm going to give you a natural remedy. So if you want to take care of ulcer, you'll be suffering from ulcer. You want to take care of it. First of all, reduce the amount of food you are eating. There's this idea that when you eat more, the ulcer will go, but it is a lie. It is when you reduce the quantity of food you are eating at a go that the ulcer begins to heal. That's number one. Then number two, get unripe plantain. Cut it into pieces. Don't remove the bark. Cut it into pieces along with the bark. Then put it in a big bowl or a jug or a bucket, a clean bucket. Add water to it, clean water. Add water to it. Of course, the water is clean. And leave it for 48 hours. 48 hours to 72 hours. So basically, allow it to ferment. By the third day, check it. You see that there's slimy water coming out of it. Remove the slimy water, wash it off, then peel off the bark. The main plantain, blend it with water and drink it. So blend it into a juice with water and drink it. If you drink it morning and evening for 1 week, the symptom of ulcer will totally go down. And if you continue for another 3 weeks, ulcer will totally disappear. Honestly, I've used it for my clients and I've seen results, and I'm giving it to you for free because you participated in the course. Of course, you can go back to this video, this particular video. I will leave it on YouTube. You can go back to listen to it so that you can grab whatever information that you didn't get. I think we'll call it a day at this point. I want to appreciate everyone who participated in this course. I want every one of us to plan towards being a member of the Executive Stress to Profit community. It is something that is going to benefit you. If this course can benefit you in 14 days. Imagine what you're going to get in a whole year of constant learning, reminding yourself of things. There are a lot of things that a lot of information that I have that are not in the course, but in the community we are creating, you are going to get it. For instance, I recently did a training for all the secretaries and PA of United Bank for Africa nationwide. Of course, it was an online meeting because I'm in the UK, and I taught them crisis management, and that is something that is very, very important. And that's something that I'm also going to be teaching in the community. How do you manage crisis, even in your home and in your office? How do you manage crisis? So it's something I'm going to teach. We're going to teach you about how to make profit in your business. I'm going to bring a lot of business coaches to teach you how to make profit. Or if you are going to be retiring very soon, we have people here who have like less than 5 years to retire. I can tell you that the best thing you need to do is to start planning towards your retirement by developing skills that you can use even after retirement. And those are some of the things we are going to be learning. Thank you very much, everyone. We have come to the end of this course. By God's grace, the WhatsApp group will still be on. Please don't exit. And on Sunday, at most, you're going to get your certificate, display it, post it on social media and on LinkedIn. Let people know that you have this knowledge, you have these skills. People will start inviting you to come speak about it. And before you know it, it becomes a career for you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And see you on WhatsApp. Thank you so much. Bye.